The award winner, City of Jackson's Chief Equity Officer, John Willis. Hi, John.
How's it going, Bart?
Good to see you.
Man, it's always exciting to be here. Always enjoy it. So.
Well, thanks. Congratulations. And I agree with what most of the people in the room are thinking or saying this morning. What? He hasn't been honored with this before?
Jackson has given me many awards, Bart. I'm very grateful for each and every one. Our goal is not for awards. Our goal is just to be able to serve our community, to be able to help people that need help. So we're humbled by the fact that this commission, Human Relations Commission, would recognize us for the work and for the opportunity that the city of Jackson has provided with me to be able to serve people. So
I think it's really cool we have these awards, and you gave a little bit of a history on the Human Relations Commission, why we have it, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit because as we're seeing across the country, they're eliminating DEI in universities and in government departments, and from what I gather, what you had to say this morning, it's not the time to do that.
No, it's definitely not. A lot of work has gone into not only our country, our state, and our city, into making sure that we don't have classes of people, making sure that we're doing the right things, and that we're trying to correct some of the actions of the past. You can't deny the actions of the past. We don't have to live in them, but you can't deny that they have created some differences. To be able to recognize those differences and make the adjustments so that we can move forward is a necessary step. So now a lot of the terminology, a lot of the things that people say, well now everything's good. Now it's not. It's not. There are still problems. There are still attitudes. There are still things that exist in our culture sometimes where people are. There are still differences that exist. Martin Luther King said in 1960s he had this dream of how these things will be, where people will be judged by the contents of their character. Well, we haven't reached that point yet. In some places we have, but we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of great community people that are coming together from across aisles, from across cultures, to work together to make sure we do these things. But the moment we stop and we start to feel that it's complete, we'll realize even more so that it's not.
You mentioned this morning that the Martin Luther King Center, when it was not built as the King Center.
Right. It was built as the Bernie McGarrah Center. Bernie was a former mayor, store owner here on the east side of Jackson there, Tonique and Page Street. But the center was actually named after Bernie McGarrah. Mr. Howard White and the NAACP and several citizens of Jackson came downtown to demand that the center be changed in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, who had just been assassinated. And they came down on April 11th of 1969. They started a march, and they marched from the Jackson County Fairgrounds to the Martin Luther King Center on Good Friday for the dedication of the center as the Martin Luther King Community Center.
That must have been one of the very first anything that was named in honor of Martin Luther King, Jr.
Yes, most definitely. That was very early in the process, a very big step. In fact, our late Mr. Breeding, who they have made a resolution to name the street after Milwaukee Street now, he actually began, I want to say in 1972 or 73, trying to get Francis Street turned into the MLK Drive that it is now.
Now, you told a story this morning about the 60s when people took a look at both Jackson, Michigan and Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes.
And as anyone that lives here knows, we've been confused by people outside that have made that mistake, but there's some similarities and some differences that you drew upon this morning. Right.
It was actually kind of shocking. The reporter, Jerry DeLauder, and from the Jackson, Mississippi, Clarion Ledger, and Donald Durst from the Jackson Citizen Patriot, they switched cities, and they stayed in their cities, and they wrote about the differences in the city. They was expecting there to be a huge difference in what he's seen in the north and what they see in the south. But they found out there was a lot more similarities and parallels than there were. In fact, the final column, he actually titled, "No Signs, but Still the Same in Spirit." And what he was saying was, in Jackson, there were no signs that said blacks only or no colors allowed, but the spirit was still felt there. He still felt the same way as it did in the South just without the signs. So I thought that was alarming. Our city at that point made some changes. They came together. Mr. Roland P. Green and Mr. Howard White, Harold White, who was the chair of the NAACP, they came together with a 14-point proposal, and then came up with a Human Relations Committee. At that time, with our Attorney General, he had given an opinion that he felt it was illegal for a city to have an ordinance that banned racial discrimination.
And that was Frank Kelly.
That was Frank Kelly, our Attorney General Frank Kelly. Yes, sir. But they went ahead, and over time there was an appeal to that opinion, and they got this organization going, the Human Relations Commission. And in fact, the city manager at that time, he said, you know, they'll come, they'll be here for a little while, and they'll probably be gone. And today was the Human Relations Commission's breakfast, the Harold White breakfast, that we received the award at. So that commission has still been doing work. It's important to note, so though that proposal came from the NAACP, 14 civic organizations in Jackson came out in support of this, says this needs to happen. So that says something. Sometimes what the general people may feel in persuasion, there are people who will always stand up for the right thing. 14 civic groups in Jackson in 1964 stood up and said, hey, this needs to be addressed, this needs to be corrected. That was for housing. There was a big housing struggle at that time, and there were some other racial incidents that happened. In fact, there was a huge incident involving almost 200 people at Parkside, which was a new school in 1963, that took place before that. So.
And that's also the time we had the Fair Housing Act,
Fair Housing came through. That's right.
The South Side is the South Side today because of how banks treated.
No question. From 1935, starting with the residential security map, as known as redlining, all the way through urban renewal. One of the things that reporter pointed out from Jackson, Mississippi, was that all of a sudden a unique urban renewal program was taking place on the South Side at this time. And he pointed that out. He thought it was unique that it was happening here in this part of the city. So those things have affected the South Side greatly. The city of Jackson is doing work to restore some of those things, to build some economic development, to give some opportunities. But it's always important to point out sometimes things are not what they seem to be. When I talk to people about the South Side, sometimes they say, well, you know, well, they didn't take care of their property, or well, they didn't take care of it. No, that wasn't what really happened. So we need to understand what happened. And then not dwell on it, let's fix it. Let's fix it, let's do something about it. And that's what we're doing with the MLK-CIA. That's what the city is doing with some of the opportunities that we have. Even the 100 home programs, there are lots on the South Side that people are selecting to build new houses.
Now the city has committed, and I believe it's somewhere around 20 or 25% of all of their ARPA funding to create the MLK Corridor Improvement Authority. That's a pretty major commitment.
The largest of any city that we know of in the United States. The largest portion of our ARPA dollars. The city that we actually learned from was Akron, Ohio, and everybody thought it was really impressive that they had like 10% of their city's ARPA dollars. The city of Jackson committed just over 15% of our ARPA dollars to the South Side of Jackson. And we have other commitments with other organizations too. The city's water department, we've got right now, and just going into MLK Drive alone, the reimagining, the city got a $6.8 million grant from DOT. Along with that, there's about $3 million in different water infrastructure projects and things that have happened. They've already replaced some of the lead lines on MLK. But you're talking about 10, well, city giving 4, 6, almost $13 million in work that's going into the South Side. And that's a huge commitment from Jackson.
Yeah, it's more than the city committed to, say, Michigan Avenue downtown.
Right.
Do you envision MLK Drive experience a renaissance similar to what happened on?
I think that would be the ideal. The ideal would be for us to create that economic development opportunity so that MLK Drive and Cooper Street is no different than West Avenue or East Michigan Avenue, where you have these abundances of buildings. And then with the new East Side corridor coming in, that's only going to add to what we're trying to accomplish. But it would be great. And we're starting to see more businesses look to move into the corridor area. And we're really excited about that, to see new businesses coming in, to see businesses that are there get existing opportunities to improve the economic development chances for them. So we're really looking forward to new business, new economic development on the South Side, new housing, and home ownership opportunities. These are things that change communities. And this is a huge opportunity that's being created right now.
Yeah,
MLKCA, the board is a group of just outstanding individuals, Bart, that are doing a lot to make sure we're doing things that are not sometimes it's frustrating because it doesn't happen tomorrow. You know, people, well, you got that money put up. It doesn't work that way. It's going to take some time, but the most important thing is that the changes that we make last this community for a lifetime and continue to improve, to increase, that we build that TIF or that tax increment financing plan so that every year we're pouring more dollars back into this community from the growth that we'll be able to experience there.
Well, it is happening a lot faster than people, I think, would expect. And
Yes, sir.
we could use an example like Mikey's barber shop.
Man, is that amazing?
He comes to the MLKCAA
Yes, sir.
and says, I would like to apply for
Right.
$50,000
Yes, sir.
within a month.
Right.
He has it.
Yes, sir.
And another month later, he's got a new addition.
And that is an amazing, but the work there is amazing. And so Mikey's is a good example of sometimes what happens in areas that are underdeveloped economically. As Mikey's work began to be processed, they realized that this building was built with no trusses. There were no trusses in the building. So they couldn't expand upon a roof that had no trusses. So they had to go back, and that changed some of his plans. But to get it done right and done properly, they did what they had to do.
And you have that flexibility. The board has
Yes,
that
sir.
flexibility where Mikey says, well, you know, 50,000 was great, but I
Yeah.
really need 50,000 more,
Yes.
right?
Yes, yes, sir. The goal is to help these businesses reach that level of success so that they can increase our TIF in the community, as well as meet the needs of that business, attract more businesses to that. Now we've got more businesses that are looking to either make improvements or to move their business actually into the corridor. And we're encouraging that. If you have a business that's a need in the corridor, please, by all means, reach out to us. Let's talk about what we can do to get you into the corridor or to get some corridor businesses developed that way. So.
Yeah, and right now the CIA, the Corridor Improvement Authority, is
Yes, sir.
evaluating the third
Yeah.
round of
Right.
grant
Right.
applications.
And Bart, just to point out, last night at a city council member, someone said something, maybe one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard, that the businesses were driven out and people didn't want them there. That is so far from accurate, so far from understanding how communities work and operate. The community is welcoming businesses. The community is welcoming the opportunity for business in this area. And that's what we're working on right now. Understanding that a time hit that changed the community, we've got to make that change.
You have some friends in Springfield, Ohio.
Yes.
You've talked
yes,
to them
I do.
about
I talked to them very, very personal. It's highly insulting and dangerous, the rhetoric revolving around Springfield. One of our friends, a pastor of a church there in Springfield, Ohio, who has many Haitians who actually attend his church. And the insults, the threats, the looks, the language has even changed. The words that they're hearing, the names that they're being called because of this rhetoric. It's a dangerous rhetoric to our country. I hope people understand that. I really do. But it's really sad. It's really disheartening when you know somebody personally, and we know many, many families. We've grown up, and that's one of our churches that we fellowship as a young man growing up. Many, many good friends. Pastor Bruce Kelly is a pastor there. And so all of this family, the Kennerleys, we got so many families that we know. And to see this happening in a city where there are people you know, and you have to have these conversations about, it's really just eye-opening, very eye-opening. But this dangerous rhetoric, we can't participate in that part. We've got to be better than that.
Well, John, a lot of reasons the committee chose you to receive this award. And this morning it was presented by the members of the committee to you. And lots of reasons, and some of them were discussed today, but pretty much for all that you've been doing for so many years. Congratulations.
Thanks, Bart. Thanks, man. I've been rolling with Bart since I've been in this work. So me and Bart go back, like as they say, Cadillacs and rims. So we go way back. Bart's my first interview that I did on a radio station was with Bart Hawley. And Bart was sitting in a little chair at the crossing, Jackson Crossing. That was Packer Plaza then. But Bart was sitting in the chair. He was talking to me and working the camera with a little button here. But the button was broke, like the plastic part. So he kept, without breaking the interview at all, never broke stride. working that button and then doing that interview there.
That's right.
And to see you guys grow into to what you do, to what you do for Jackson, Bart, we're really, really proud. Just really, really grateful to any time we can be here, anytime we can help with something there. We're just appreciative for what you do.
Thank
all
you.
the things you do. So
Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do, and thanks for coming in today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very welcome. Honored to be here.
Harold White Award winner, John Willis, City of Jackson Chief Equity Officer, on